So thanks for clicking on my video, and in today's video we are going to discuss about the most common problem of middle-aged women, those who are going through the middle life crisis, middle age crisis. They must have this insecurities, this feeling in their mind that my husband doesn't love me anymore. They think that their husbands, they have become cold towards them, they have become mean towards them, they are not caring about them, they are not complimenting them, whatever they do, they are not taking interest in them. So in today's video, we'll discuss about it. Some women go to the extent of snooping on their husband's, social media account too, checking on their texting too, thinking that why my husband is not taking interest in me, why he has stopped loving me. And sometimes what they do, that they start crying, shopping, arguing, fighting, complaining, screaming about this thing. So in today's video, we'll find out that why this thing happens, why the women of 40 to 45, they couple to think that their husband don't love them anymore. They always think that, someone or somebody from outside is pulling them away that could be more enticing than her. One thing, when this scary thought comes to our mind, it is just a tip of the iceberg. Because, there are lots of things underneath to know. Because it doesn't happen that one fine day you wake up and you find that my husband is not loving me anymore. He's not taking any interest on me. It is something else, there are lots of things to consider. There are lots of things to discuss about, These insecurities or crisis comes when you suddenly start losing your confidence in your body. You are losing a lot of hair, your skin is fading, you're putting on a lot of weight, and when you don't accept the fact, basically your body is out of your control. When you get to a certain age, you suddenly find that, this changes is occurring with your body. Suddenly you find that you have gained a lot of weight and you are putting a lot of effort to make yourself beautiful, to look yourself beautiful. But it is not happening because, all the efforts whichever you are putting in your body to make it, to bring it into shape, it's not happening, It's getting out of your control. And these insecurities leads them to think that now they have no importance in their family. They have been putting on a kind of self, and they start nagging, fighting, arguing with their husbands, thinking that I have not been given any importance in the family. They develop a kind of idea that they are fading into a kind of background, and from this idea they develop a kind of insecurities, thinking that this is the reason that my husband is not taking interest in me. They are not appreciating me, whatever I do, because I don't look attractive. So, to some extent it might be true also, because different people have different approach to life, different temperament, different behavior, different thinking label. So, but I always take the positive side of the thing. So that is why I will talk about it. We will talk about it. We will discuss about it. What is the right reason for it? Why we people are compelled to think that our husbands are not taking interest in us. But before that, I'd like to tell you my story. Once I hit 40, everything seems to shifting, taking place in a different way in my life, Suddenly I started feeling that how I see myself, my body, my husband, my family, my relationship with my husband is taking a new turn. Something unusual is creeping inside my life, and especially I was very worried about my body, which was just getting out of my control. However hard I try to put it in a kind of shape, it's not happening. A bunch bunch of insecurities started creeping inside my personality, and I could say that I was having a kind of middle life crisis in my life. Turning 45, it just felt me that everything is getting out of my hand, especially my body, which was not in shape anymore. However hard I tried, it was not coming into my control. So I started finding that, everything is getting out of my hand, my middle age spread started happening, and I was really very much worried about it, that my husband would not be, able to take interest in me. Maybe he will not take any interest in me because of my just growing, fatty body. So it was not only messing up my physical health, it was messing up my head too. I was so much tensed, worried about the thing which is happening, and it was happening automatically. I had no control over it, and I started thinking that, maybe my husband would not take any interest in me. And whenever I used to wear something nice, I always had this thing in my mind that my husband is going to appreciate it, the thing which I'm wearing. Suppose कभी-कभी मैंने बहुत अच्छी सी साड़ी पहनी हुई है, और अगर मेरे हस्बैंड ने उस समय मुझे कुछ बोला नहीं, कुछ रिमार्क नहीं दिया, तो मेरे अंदर वो जो टेंशन होता था वो और भी ज्यादा गहरा होता जाता था. आई यूज्ड टू थिंक व्हाट इज हैपनिंग विद मी, ये हो क्या रहा है, मतलब क्या. पहले तो मेरा बहुत विश्वास था, इनिशियली आई हैड अ लॉट ऑफ फेथ इनसाइड मी. आई यूज्ड टू थिंक ठीक है, मैं कर लूंगी ना, अगर मेरा वेट बढ़ रहा है तो मैं कंट्रोल कर पाऊंगी, आई कैन कंट्रोल इट. अगर मेरा जो स्किन खराब हो रहा है तो ठीक है, आई कैन टेक केयर ऑफ इट. बट ओवर द टाइम आई स्टार्टेड फीलिंग कि मेरा तो कुछ कंट्रोल है ही नहीं, वो वाली चीज होती नहीं है एज के साथ साथ, और इनसिक्योरिटीज और भी ज्यादा बढ़ती जाती है. देन आई स्टार्टेड फीलिंग दैट दिस इज द ओनली थिंग विच हैज kept me near my husband. This is the only thing which has bind us together. पर शायद मेरी ये जो इनसिक्योरिटीज है, ये इसने मुझे ये सोचने पर बाध्य किया कि मे बी मुझे लगता था कि मेरी ये जो फिजिकल आउटर ब्यूटी है, यही एक बेस है कि इसने मुझे मेरे हस्बैंड के साथ बांध के रखा हुआ है. And then, what I started doing a lot of jogging, exercising, intermittent fasting to remain in shape. So every time I would see some beautiful girl, slim girl, my insecurities, it doubled. I started feeling like I was chasing a myth, because चाहे मैं जितना भी कुछ कर लूं, मुझे लगता नहीं था मैं भी थोड़ा सा भी कम कर पा रही हूँ अपने आप को. So whenever he didn't seem to notice, what I'm wearing, maybe I'm wearing some nice dress and I'm expecting my husband would see it and compliment to me, the dress which I'm wearing. So I always started relating these things, that my husband doesn't love me anymore. My assumption started growing about this fact that, this thing is happening because he doesn't love me anymore. So my insecurities were, it was increasing a lot and delving, pushing me inside a kind of deep thought of pushing me into a kind of depression. And then the reality hit hard. I had to go through an operation. It was a kind of surgery 2 years back, and certainly I was I realized that, my husband, who is not very expressive, what he started doing, as I was heading toward the operation theater, my husband, who is not very expressive, did something that speaks volumes. The way he was concerned about me, the way he was moving around to see the doctors, sometimes he would go outside to bring medicine. His concern, his loving gestures, his small worries, and sometimes he would stand by the bedside of me, caressing my head, putting his hand on my head, loving, with a loving gesture. He's not able to speak a lot, but I could understand. I kept on asking myself, isn't this what is love is all about? Love goes beyond just, just a kind of show or putting on a kind of display. It's not a superficial thing, It's something which you feel deeper and deeper, and your connection with your husband, it really, really increases. As I was entering the operation room, I just felt that his unspoken words were whispering to my ears, You mean world to me. Come back soon. Now, if we talk about the kind of husbands, you find that there are two kinds of husbands, One kind of husband, the person who always gives you compliment, whatever you do. Maybe you are dressing up nicely, maybe you are doing something, maybe you have cooked something good, they would always compliment you. They would always praise you. They would always admire you, telling that, wow, how nice, you're kitna acha tumne banaya, bahut acha, kitni achhi lag rahi ho. So all the time they would keep on saying this thing. But in long-term relationship, what happens, after coming to a certain age, suddenly they stopped telling this thing. Maybe, their way of thinking, it changes a bit. Maybe they are not very prompt to compliment their wife. Their way of expression, their way of showing love, it can change a bit. On the other hand, we see, there are some people, some husbands who are not very expressive. They might not be very big on giving compliment, but they are always ready with their action, Maybe when they can be present beside you whenever you are in need. They can help you out. They can console you. They can always, they can always stand by your side, whenever you are needed them, Maybe you're not emotionally good, or maybe you are suffering from something. That person always will be beside you, So there are two types of person, When I got married, I remember that my dreams were different, I always used to think about the filmy thing, that my husband would come from behind, he would hold me while I was cooking in the kitchen, and he would bring expensive gifts for me, or living in a kind of joint family made my dream a kind of fragile, or sometimes it shattered too, because when I had to face the reality, So initially my expression of love, my definition of love was different. I used to think that if your husband is caring about you, he's always standing beside you, and he's bringing gifts for you, and he's taking complimenting you, he's giving taking extra care of you, it means that he's loving you. But my thought was rather superficial, after getting to know him, after knowing the whole the circumstances, after knowing all the things, that this might not be the real thing, The real thing is that, it's not the gold, the gifts, the things which he brings for you. After getting to know him in a better way, I started feeling that love is not what you feel. That your husband, it's not necessary that every time your husband is going to bring gifts for you and making you happy. So it's okay, sometimes when you really want to show your love, gift is the best thing. I suppose it. I feel it. But it's not always that expensive gifts, which is brought by your husband can make you only happy. It's not that, it is something else. And in a long-term relationship, what happens that, when you get to know your husband in a better way, so these small things, it doesn't matter a lot. When you get to know the real nature of your husband, so these small things, they do not keep any importance in your life, You just want to have the real presence of your husband beside you, and the real love which should develop inside his heart, for you. It's not the outer superficial things of bringing gifts and making you happy with with giving compliments and all. As people grow older, their life changes, their way of expression changes. They know each other so well that they start taking each other for granted. They might have new responsibilities, they might have developed new worries, which might affect the relationship too. You need to be aware of the changes which is taking place, and you have to be very supportive, just staying beside them, thinking that what kind of changes are taking place and what is your role in, to understand the problem, the new changes which is coming in, and how you are going to pitch in to that. Over the time, they stop talking openly to each other. They don't hang around each other. They don't have so much time to spend with each other, because there are lots of other things too. Their responsibilities, they are involved with their project, their kids, their families, their worries. So every time nagging and complaining, cribbing is not going to help you, to make him love forcibly, saying that you don't love me anymore. The things which once made them happy become less and less fulfilling. You need to think and ponder about it. Is it your physical beauty which is creating a kind of rift between you and your husband, that you are not any more attractive? This might not be the reason. Just try to delve deep inside it and you will find. लोग सोचते हैं कि अरे मैं अब उतनी सुंदर नहीं हूँ, पहले जैसा मेरा जो बॉडी नहीं है, मेरा फिगर ऐसा नहीं है, तो दिस इज द रीजन कि मेरे हस्बैंड मुझसे इंटरेस्ट नहीं ले। कभी बैठ के सोचिए, क्या यही एक फैक्टर है जो कि आपके हस्बैंड को आपसे दूर कर रही है? नहीं। There are various reasons, if you ponder upon it, if you think about it, you will come to know बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसे होती है जिससे कि हमारे बीच में हमारे हस्बैंड जो है, हम फील करते हैं कि उनका जो प्यार हमारे लिए कम हो गया है। In long-term marriages, what happens that one factor doesn't work. If you're thinking that your physical beauty is the only thing which is working for him, no, it is not. The right thing is that everything, when your husband connects with you, a lot of other things also work. Like he connects with you mentally, physically, and at the same time emotionally too. So when they accept you, when they take you in your life, they look as a combination of all things. The combination of affection, love, your maturity level, your concerning for others, so many things, so many factors works, and he wants to take you as a whole, not just, giving importance to one aspect of your personality. A healthy and loving relationship is built on trust, your supportiveness, your caring thing. Everything comes inside it, not only one aspect of your physical beauty. You cannot say that I'm not looking beautiful and this is the only reason that my husband is not taking interest in me. Stop blaming yourself that your physical beauty is not so good, that your husband is not attracted towards you. There might be other reasons too. Maybe he's going through some stresses, some problems of life. Maybe he's dealing with a kind of mental problems, Maybe he has a lot of worries to deal with. You need to know about it, in a long-term relationship, what happens that husband and wife becomes a mirror to each other, gaining a deep understanding of each other's every nuance. Just एक आईना बनिए, क्योंकि अगर अब अभी तक आईना नहीं बने हैं तो इसका मतलब है कहीं ना कहीं आपके प्रयास में कमी है, कहीं ना कहीं you are not able to understand your husband fully, कहीं ना कहीं आप में कमी है। प्रयास करिए, जोड़ने का प्रयास करिए, समझने की कोशिश करिए कि क्या कारण है कि मेरे हस्बैंड जो है मुझ में इंटरेस्ट नहीं ले रहे हैं। कहीं ना कहीं अगर आप डीप थिंकिंग करेंगे तो आप पाएंगे बहुत, आपको जरूर से ये पता लगेगा कि बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स ऐसे हैं जिस पर आपको काम करना है। So just give a big smile when he returns from the office. Always welcome him. Just believe me one thing, that your smile will take away half of his stress. अभी आप कहेंगे मैं भी तो काम करती हूँ, मैं भी तो ऑफिस से आती हूँ, मेरा क्या है, मुझे काम जुटना है। Just थोड़ा सा अंडरस्टैंडिंग की जरूरत है। We need to have a little understanding. To think about it, बात करिए, communicate करो, and then find out the solutions. अभी ये जो नारी शक्ति और विमेन एम्पावरमेंट वाली बात है ना, उसको थोड़ा सा परे में रखे, थोड़े रिश्तों की गहराई में जाने की कोशिश करनी चाहिए। वी आर लैकिंग इन कम्युनिकेशन। जस्ट सिट विद योर हस्बैंड, कम्युनिकेट, hugging, holding hands, just pressing his hand. All these comes, under the umbrella of communication. So communication is very, very essential for you to connect with your husband. One thing I have lately realized, that men always search for their mothers in their wives, in terms of tolerance, in terms of love, in terms of support, in terms of caring, विमेन लिबरलाइजेशन और एम्पावरमेंट की बात करने वाले ना रिश्तों की गहराई तक पहुंच ही नहीं पाते। जिंदगी बहुत छोटी है यार, पहले रिश्तों की गहराई को समझ लो, इसको बांधने की कोशिश करो, इसको जोड़ने की कोशिश करो। आप कहीं से छोटे नहीं हो जा रहे जब आप ये सब करेंगे। मेक सम गुड डिशेस फॉर हिम, लेट हिम फील द वार्मथ ऑफ लव। बारिश में भीग लो ना, थोड़ा हाथ पकड़ के बाहर निकल जाओ ना, पार्क में थोड़ा घूम लो ना। लेट द फीलिंग ऑफ लव एंड वार्मथ अराइज। बच्चों की तरह थोड़ा हो लो ना, क्या जरूरत है हर समय अहम, हर समय प्राउड, हर समय मेरा मेरा, तुम्हारा तुम्हारा, मुझे मेरा, क्या जरूरत है? थोड़ा सा इजी बन जाओ ना। स्टॉप पुटिंग ब्लेम ऑन हिम एंड अक्यूजिंग हिम ऑफ एवरीथिंग। आपने मेरे लिए क्या किया? मेरी तो फीलिंग आप समझते ही नहीं है, सिर्फ अपना ही समझते। मुझे क्या पहना है, मुझे क्या करना है, ये तो कभी आपने पूछा ही नहीं। कभी आपने ये पूछा है कि मुझे क्या चाहिए? स्टॉप डूइंग दिस। दिस विल मेक द सिचुएशन वर्स. It will also make it very difficult to go through, to work through. So every time you respond negatively, they put up the wall. They seem to pull away from the relationship. Your own efforts to look good has also stopped, जरा सोचो, आपने कितनी बार अपने हस्बैंड के लिए आप तैयार होते हो? जरा सोचो कि कितनी बार आप अपने हस्बैंड के लिए तैयार होते हो, है ना? ठीक है यार, कभी कभी जो है ये भी चलता है कि हम जो है थोड़ा सा कंसिडर करें चीजों को, हम उनको समझें और भी बेटर वे में, और अपने आप को संवारना, सजाना और अच्छा रखना, सुंदर रखना, हेल्दी रखना, ये तो हर विमेन का काम है। ये तो होना ही चाहिए, सिर्फ अपने हस्बैंड के लिए नहीं, खुद के लिए भी, है ना? Over time, what happens that women become so easy towards their husband, they start taking them for granted, and the efforts they used to put in to look themselves good, it subsides over the time. You need to tailor your approach to fit in your relationship. And every relationship is based on strong communication, trust, emotional support and love. So उम्मीद है आज की वीडियो आपको पसंद आया होगा। सो अगर आपको पसंद आया है, थम्स अप करिए, शेयर करिए, लाइक करिए। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग।